Hi, everyone. Hope you're having a really good day wherever you are. Welcome to my channel and welcome to my video, which I titled The Secret Life of Asurion Developers. So you may be wondering, what is this video about? So I wanted to create a video that really highlighted the work-life balance that I think that Asurion really helps to inspire in its developers. I think so often in the tech space, we really see a push for productivity culture. And in that, people are encouraged to work crazy hours, whether it be from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m., or I've even seen sometimes from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. And really, where's the time for hobbies? When do you get to go home and exercise? What do you do after work? And sometimes the answer is nothing. Sometimes the answer is, oh, I really only work. And I remember seeing that in some of my first jobs when I started out as a developer, that a lot of people that I knew were only doing their work. And that really wasn't me. So, a little bit of my background: I have been in the tech space for about 3 years now. I graduated college in 2019, and I've always been very interested in tech and other creative pursuits. So, I really love to paint, I love to knit, I love to exercise. I always have a variety of hobbies that I love to do on the weekends, and I have a social life that I like to keep up. So when I got to into the corporate space, I became very concerned that that was the expectation, that the 70-hour work week was the standard. And I was worried I was going to have to quit. I was worried I was going to have to find a different career path, and I didn't want to do that. I really do love working with tech. I have been a front end developer for most of my career. Recently, I'm starting to move into full stack, and I just find the work super fascinating. So I didn't want to quit, and I wanted to have a work life balance. And so I began looking for other paths in my career. And as I progressed, I was able to find Asurion. And I was really inspired by the group of developers that I found here. It seemed like everybody had really, really strong hobbies. Almost everybody that I've talked to is super passionate about something, whether it be fitness or art or reading or hanging out with their family, taking vacations. Almost nobody is working 90-hour or 100-hour work weeks. Everybody has a work-life balance. It's something that we really, really strive for. So I put together a group of engineers that all have very strong and unique hobbies, and asked them to come talk for a little bit about their hobbies and sort of why they actually think that it makes them a better developer in the long run. And at the end, I will talk about my hobbies and how I think they make me a better developer. But in the meantime, I'll kick it off. I'll start by introducing Kavita Ladad, and she will kick it off by talking about her hobby. So, Kavita, here's to you.
Hello everyone, I'm Kavita Ladad. Today I'm going to share with you my attempt in bringing some work life balance into my day to day life. I am a software engineer. I love coding. I have been doing it for a while. But in addition to being an engineer, I also had some other hobbies that I wanted to pursue. But somehow they always kept on getting into the back seat. I always had these excuses, oh, not at this time. I'm so busy with this and that. But somewhere I realized and I decided that okay, I'm going to give some regular time to pursue all of these hobbies. Let me share my hobbies with you. I do this art form which is called tatting, where you have this kind of instrument, a needle, and you make a special kind of knot to make these beautiful patterns out of it. I have been doing this thing for a long time now. I learned it from my mom when I was really young. But once she taught me this thing, I really got hooked into it. And since then, I have been doing it. I did it when I was young, when I was in college, but somehow, somewhere, I left it. But then I picked it up again recently, and I can make these beautiful patterns out of it, like something like this, and this one here I have, and another one I can share with you is this one. So you make this all with the special kind of knot, which takes little bit of time in the beginning to get that. But once you get that knot, then it's just matter of creating various patterns out of it. I love it. I usually try to do it every day when I'm watching TV. So whenever I'm in front of TV, I always have this thing in my hand. And since I have gotten actually pretty good at that knot, I don't have to continuously pay attention to it. So I can do that multitasking. Um, in addition to tatting, I also love Indian classical music. I have been listening to it for a long time, but I started learning this music a couple of years back. In fact, I love it so much that I created my own startup around this called learnraga.com, where you can come, you can create your composition, you can play that composition, and you can play along with it so you know how well you are doing. So, Indian classical music has been part of my life for a long time, and I usually try. So, earlier I used to learn, but it usually would be just class to class every week. I would go with not much practice, and I didn't really progress much. For any kind of music, I feel you need that rigorous practice, going over again and again to really understand and be able to produce good music. So recently, I started doing my practice every day, at least 20 minutes, 5 days a week. And uh, all these things, this starting or Indian classical music, they gave me a lot back. Yes, you need to go do it regularly for sustained amount of time to actually see any effect, how positively these things affect you. Many times it happens that after the whole day's work, I'm really tired and don't really want to do anything. But I somehow, since I have decided, I somehow drag myself to my piano that, okay, I'm going to do my practice now. And almost always I come out of that session happy and rejuvenated. It just, I enjoy it. I see that it's like music is like meditation to me, because if you are thinking something else, you can't really produce good music. So you have to be there in the moment to enjoy and be able to produce good music. So, in fact, I feel like sometimes when I'm stuck on some problem, I'm trying to solve it for some time and just can't get anywhere. And I'm just staring at the screen and not really going anywhere. I just get out of here, I go for a run or I do my music, and almost always I come back with some solution, something, some direction that helps me to solve the problem. I feel like our mind sometimes needs that break for any kind of creativity to happen. Even coding, I feel it's kind of it is creativity. You can write beautiful code if you have that creativity in you. So, yeah, these hobbies have been really helpful. They help me in life, and I'm planning to continue those going forward. Just to give you an idea about what Indian classical music is, I will play a small composition. It's called Tarana, where you sing these notes. They don't have exactly words, meaningful words in them, but it's very nice and playful. I'll play little bit for you all. Da dim dim da dim dim da dim dim da dim dim da de na da de na da de da dim dim da dim dim Tana dim 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 ta dim tana dim 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 ta dim tana de na tana de na tana de na ta di re ta ra dim dim ta dim dim. So, over time, while doing this, while doing all these hobbies, I realized that for it, for me to start, I just needed some self-realization, a bit of commitment, some time management, and a bit of support from friends and family. And I'm really enjoying this journey. So, thank you for listening to me. Thanks, Grace, for giving me this opportunity to share my experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kavita, for sharing your love of tatting and Indian classical music. It was really beautiful to hear you sing. Next up is Gary Barnes, who's going to share his love of climbing and bouldering. Take it away, Gary.
Hey, I'm Gary Barnes. I have been a software developer at Asurion for nearly 9 months now, and I'm going to talk a little bit about rock climbing and how I think that has made me a better developer. So I've been climbing for over 8 years at this point. Really for the past decade of my life, it's something that's been very important to me, and I've spent most of my free time doing it on weekends, summer vacation, etc. And actually, I was inspired to pick computer science as a major um, on a climbing trip. So I just graduated high school. I was on a bit of a road trip. I was climbing in Kentucky, and I was talking to some older climbers there, and they talked about how if they could go back in school, they would learn computer science because it would allow them to travel and climb, and everyone they knew that was involved in that field seemed to really enjoy it. So I already knew that I was sort of interested in it and picked it on a whim. It ended up being something I was super interested in. And right, that's why I'm here now. So with this, what I wanted to do was just highlight some of the benefits that I get from climbing and why I think that makes me a better software developer. So some of the first ones, of course, physical activity. Climbing is a very active sport. I spend a lot of time hiking, spend a lot of time working out, trying to get in shape for it. And climbing itself is a phenomenal workout. And I think physical activity just helps so much with cognitive function. I can definitely tell when I'm climbing more, my head feels a bit clearer. I'm better at problem solving. It also gets me away from my phone computer screen after work. And as all of us know, it's really easy to get off work, play video games, watch TV, and it feels like that isn't particularly restorative. It can still kind of add a lot of strain to your eyes and strain from sitting. So it's for me, it's been great to have a hobby that gets me up and moving. It really helps me feel like when I come back to work the next day, I'm well rested and ready to start working again. Um, and aside from that, I think there are some specific, you know, properties climbing has that makes it a particularly good hobby for someone that is in a field like this. Um, so one of those is the sort of problem solving process, right? Software development is a uniquely challenging field in the sense that we have to, look at this problem, break it down into little pieces, come up with creative solutions for that, and put it all together. There's a lot more creative problem solving involved than a lot of other fields. climbing is similar in the sense that when I approach a climb, looking at the whole thing can feel a bit overwhelming at first, right? There's like a ton of moves I have to learn, a lot of sections. So I would begin by kind of breaking the climb down into a few different sections, learning each of those sections or kind of solving each of those like sub problems, and then spending some time putting it all together. And while the activity itself is very different from software development, it feels like this process of problem decomposition and then solving pieces and putting it back together. It feels very, very similar to software development. And it feels like I sort of get to develop those problem solving muscles while still taking a break from my job, which is incredible. Um, and I feel like in doing that process for years, I have gained a lot of discipline. I know climbing, like software development, is something that you can't get good at overnight. It takes years and years of repetition. Um, and by learning that at an early age, I think that has helped me, especially with something like software development, where really, day to day, you may not seem like you make a ton of progress, but it's really just about putting in those hours every day and finding ways to notice that small but incremental progress. Um, I know for climbing, I will often try a single boulder for years before I do it. And I think just being able to do that, like show up at the same climb day after day, week after week, year after year, has taught me a lot of patience. And I feel when I'm faced with a big problem at work, um, even if it's something that may take days to sort of decompose and figure out, I've been able to learn that and practice that patience through climbing. And that has helped me a ton with my work. Another thing that I think is relevant in both climbing and software development is experimentation, right? With software development, a big part of it is you want to be able, especially with the whole agile models, you want to be able to experiment with new features, new ways to solve problems, and fail gracefully with those. In the same way, climbing, a lot of times figuring out how to do something, it just comes down to how many different ways you're willing to fail before coming across the right way to do a move. So I think learning to fail gracefully while climbing has made me much more willing to fail gracefully in other places, like at work. And I think that has made it where I've been able to, come up with solutions much quicker because I'm not, paralyzed by the fear of one failing. And finally, I think a similar day between climbing and software development is they're both collaborative activities. Um, Software development, it's, no matter how experienced you are, you almost always can do something quicker if you ask someone for help. In the same way with climbing, there's a lot of value in learning to do something yourself, but also you're often climbing with other people. You need to be able to ask people for help and learn from them. So I think by learning how to do that when I'm climbing, I've been able to jump in a software engineering environment and collaborate with people a lot better and a lot quicker. So in summary, I think climbing has been incredibly beneficial for my career in software development, specifically for the problem solving skills it's taught me over the past 8 years. And I really hope everyone can have a similar experience with this, with whatever hobby they have, even if it's something that on the surface looks entirely unrelated to software development. Chances are it's more similar than one might realize.
Thank you so much, Gary, for sharing how climbing has really been a big impact on your life and on your career. Next, we'll move on to Bradston, who's going to talk about how he got into boxing and Muay Thai.
My name is Bryson Henry, and I am the Developer Relations Manager at Asurion. I've been there about 6 months, and I want to share a little bit about one of my favorite hobbies and what I've been doing for a while. So, as you might be able to see behind me, you see I have a little boxing, I guess you could say, punching bag, a standing punching bag, and some of my equipment. But one of my biggest hobbies right now is actually boxing and Muay Thai, particularly Muay Thai kickboxing. So I actually started, I guess you could say, boxing and really trying to learn maybe back maybe 9 months ago. For my birthday, I went a little bit crazy. I said, you know what? I want to really take on some new adventures. I want to try something new. And I took on boxing. So what I did is I kind of saved up and I went ahead and bought myself a little punching bag. And my parents were just super, they saw what I was doing. And they were like, you know, we haven't got our young son, oh, yes, I'm young, our young son a gift in a long time. And they decided to buy me some pads so that I could actually do my workout and do everything that I wanted to do. So I started learning to box, really, looking at videos really online on like YouTube and Instagram and like everywhere I could find, because at the time I wasn't really leaving the house, still kind of in the pandemic-ish, and I have some like medical issues. So I was just learning on my own. But about a few months ago, about 3 months ago, I took on Muay Thai and started going to a Muay Thai gym not too far from where I live right now. It's actually like a 30-minute walk. And it's actually been, I guess you could say, a game changer. I actually go to the Muay Thai gym at least, if I can do at least 3 times a week, 2 to 3 times a week, I go to the gym. And then intermittently throughout those times when I'm not at the gym. So the other few days in the week, I try to hit the pad, get a light workout, try to like really train and learn some new techniques. And it's something that I've truly, come to love. So just a little bit of backstory why I even got into it is that I'm a big UFC, particularly MMA fan, mixed martial arts. So boxing, wrestling, grappling, jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, all of those things I really love and I love watching, but I've never had an opportunity to participate in any type of combat sport in a real sense in my lifetime. I've run track, I've played basketball when I was a kid in like middle school. I've played football with my friends, I've played all kind of sports, ultimate frisbee, whatever. I've done all those different things, dodgeball. And I used to break dance for a while, but none of those were really too intense. And even the football I played with my friends was just for fun, so it wasn't a real contact sport. So for me, I've never really played a contact sport or done anything that was, really heavy, taking damage. And I've just been wanting to learn how to do this forever. And I've been a big fan of MMA for many years now, coming on 6, 7, 8 years. And I just felt like I need to take it on. And, one of my favorite things about it is just a challenge. I feel like I've had the opportunity to try and do new things throughout my life. And every time that I get a new challenge, something that I've never done before, something that pushes me to my limits, it's such an awakening of who I can be and who I was. 9 months ago, I was gaining weight. I was struggling with a lot of knee pain, a lot of like back pain, neck pain. Also, I think I mentioned I have like a health condition which deals with my heart. And I was kind of like not very active. And once I started getting into boxing and Muay Thai, kickboxing, like all of those things have really changed for me. I feel that my body is stronger, my knees, I don't have knee issues anymore. I rarely have back issues. I mean, my heart issues are still there somewhere, but I don't really deal with them on a daily basis. So I'm really thankful because I've had the opportunity to use my body in a new way and different things. So it's interesting because in the last few months, as I've gotten into Muay Thai, I've actually had an opportunity to actually do it with other people. When I was learning boxing, all I was doing was hitting the pad behind me, right? I was like, boom, 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 all by myself, boom, 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 getting my reps in, trying to learn techniques, once again, like I said, online. And it wasn't until I started doing Muay Thai that I actually started doing with people. For me, I've had a lot of benefits, like I mentioned. Like for me, I think that my body, throughout my life, I've struggled with a lot of different physical ailments. I've been what some would say a sickly man, a sickly child growing up. And I think for me, it's number one, strengthening the body, but even more strengthening the mind. I think that with Muay Thai, with boxing, you have to discipline the mind. Because when you go to practice, when you go to the training, the workout, and you get through your whole like beginning warm up, and you're already tired, and then you got to learn a new technique that you've never done before, and you're in front of another person, you find that it's really easy for you to break. It's really easy for you to go, I can't do this anymore. Oh, my arms are tired. Oh, my legs are tired. Oh, my mind is tired. And I think one of the benefits that Muay Thai, benefits that boxing has taught me is to never just continue to be strong-minded, continue to fight through. I think that as far as how it has affected me in my job, um, Muay Thai and boxing has really helped me to find an outlet. I've always had outlets in video games. I've always had outlets in maybe listening to music or hanging out with my wife or my friends. But this is a new outlet where I can really just sometimes after a really hard day, I'm really tired mentally. I just come down here into my garage and I just, throw a few 1-2s and I just kind of throw some kicks and I kind of get it out of me, and it's really helped me to relax my mind and my body. For a moment, I don't have to think about the world. I can just be here, present with the boxing, the bag in front of me and just thinking about am I breathing right? Through the nose, out the mouth. Okay, how are my legs feeling? How are my arms feeling? Okay, my shoulders are tired. I need to work those out. So it's kind of a very present thing. It's kind of a zen moment, and it's really been something that's helped me to combat burnout and honestly keep my mind in the right mind frame. I think other things that this has taught me is just humility. I think one thing you learn really quickly in a gym with people who've been doing something for a long time, who could physically dominate you at any moment, is humility. Because you can't go in there, no matter what your background. Oh yeah, I ran track. Oh yeah, I used to break dance. Oh yeah, I'm blah, 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 blah. But when somebody's been doing something at a high level for a long time prior to you and you step in front of them, you feel like a child again. And I feel like for me, that's been something that's helped me to remember what it's like, even in my career. I need to be humble and continue to learn and continue to grow and just to be a sponge. Don't think that I know everything. Just because I've been in the industry for 8 years, development, leading teams, now starting new things, it doesn't matter. I still have so much to learn, and I feel like Muay Thai and boxing has taught me that I don't know anything. There's so much more for me to learn. There's so much more for me to do, and it's exciting every day, just kind of learning new things and going through it. And, of course, it's one of those things that has turned it's turned into one of those things that's allowed me to express myself in different ways. I've always been a creative. I've always done different things, but now I feel like I can really communicate with my body. And I know, and not like I'm going to go out there and fight people, but really it's one of those things where I feel like I've made friends at the gym just simply from having a good sparring round with them. They're like, yeah, and now when I see them at the gym, we don't have to talk. We just know okay, we had that moment together, and it helps me expand my horizon, meet new people, and do new things. So I think one thing that I can't state enough is how important it's been for me to have this outlet, to have this space where I can really be myself. I think sometimes in my profession, I struggle with imposter syndrome. I struggle with, am I really who I say I am? Am I really doing the right things? Do they even think what I'm doing is worth their time, And coming from the background I came from into tech, sometimes it feels like I'm fighting an uphill battle to get to where I want to be. And doing Muay Thai and literally fighting has kind of helped me to find that balance in my life where I'm like, you know what? There is such a thing as overtraining. Like when you are an athlete or when you're trying to get ready for a fight or what have you. And I feel like sometimes I can overtrain at work. I can put so much in thinking that the more I do, the better I'm going to be. And tomorrow I'm going to be the CEO of every company on the planet. But the reality is I found that I need those breaks. And just like when I go out here and I box for a little bit, boom, 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 I realized, I got to take a day off. My body is tired. My mind is tired. My knees are feeling a little wonky today. And I take those days off and I come back even stronger. And I feel like I'm finding that in my job, I come with the same intensity as if I'm going to spar with somebody, right? I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to go hard, blah, 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 blah. I'm tired, my arms are tired, my legs are tired. But then I take that moment where I step away and I spend that time doing other things and enjoying my life. And then I can come back to work refreshed, ready to go. So I really do feel like it's taught me a lot about work-life balance and who I can really be. Long story short is I'm super thankful that I found boxing. I'm super thankful I found Muay Thai. It's been something that's helped me to discipline my mind, my body, and so much more. I feel that even as a person whose 9 to 5 is to sit in front of a computer every day and create new things, and try new things, and be a technologist and all these things, the focus on disciplining my mind and my body has really helped me at my job. And I feel like every time that I go to the Muay Thai gym, every time that I have a hard session, every time that I learn something new or get that humble moment when somebody punches me in the face in a new angle that it helps me to remember who I am and where I started from and who I can be. So, I'm just a developer at the end of the day, but hey, sometimes I can have a little fun. Pop, pop, pop. Ooh.
Thanks for speaking on that, Bradston. Honestly, I don't think I'd be very good at boxing. I'm very afraid of being punched in the face. So I guess I'm last up. So I'll talk about some of my hobbies. So for me, after work, I like to do a variety of art-related hobbies. So for it always looks a little bit different for me, just depending on the day. Ever since I was young, my mom has always encouraged me to be very into different forms of art, whether it be drawing, painting, knitting, anything like that. Recently, I have gotten back into knitting. I will do it as I watch TV or on trips, things like that. So I will show the piece I'm currently working on. It's a little jumbled up, but I'm currently making this scarf. It's made out of yarn that's multicolored, so it gets these cool zigzags that go throughout it, and it's going to be nice and warm for winter. I also have dabbled in printmaking, so I will take a rubber block and a little carving knife and carve out the rubber, and whatever is left is what ends up getting printed when you roll the ink on. So it's really quite a process and it's very fun. One of my friends got me into it by explaining the process to me, and so I went to the local art store and just got started that way. So this is an example of a print that I did, just some little mushrooms. And I just think it's so fun. With printmaking, you're sort of able to just do whatever you want and then print as many of your art as you want for friends. So I do love to give my prints away to anybody that wants them, and you can print them in any color. So I do have all different types of ink that I love to experiment with and give out. The last type of art that I do that's a little bit more involved is watercolor painting. So that for me is usually I'll do that on vacation just because it does take a little bit more of my time. But this is an example of a piece that I did a while back, just a little house with some botanicals out by the side. That was Watercolor is one of my favorite forms of art just because it is so meditative. I usually will work off of a reference photo and go from there. And I have a few different palettes that I'll work with, and it is just very fun. So for me, it's so important for me to have a creative hobby because it's a way for me to express myself creatively after work, especially if I have a day that's super, super technical, then I just want to have some quiet time to myself where I can just be very meditative and creative. I have found that it is incredibly helpful in my work, however, because being a front end developer for the most part does end up being quite a creative endeavor, especially with web app design. So I have been in situations where if I notice that something doesn't necessarily look right, I will use my creative brain to sort of determine how we could fix the page to look better. So I have worked with designers to fix things, and it just helps with burnout. So something that I've experienced in the past is burnout after a really long week. And so I find if I just take a night where put on Netflix in the background and just get out my watercolor paints, I feel so much better. It just is a really great relaxation activity for me. So really do love my I really do love my art. It's a hobby that I don't want to give up anytime soon. So I want to thank you all for joining me, and I wanted to thank all of the other developers that sent in footage today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please leave a comment with if you have a hobby that you want to share, or if you have any questions for anybody in the video, and we'll try to answer. And hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.